Hey Ian, you ready?
You bet I am. What are we talking about tonight? And talk about guns?
If it's not a 30 cal, I'm not in.
Jeez, mate, that's not very inclusive. Have you seen Jono?
Hey Jono, you ready?
Well, God knows where he is, mate. He's probably caught up in the neighbour's wire again. You ready to go? Let's do this.
Mate, I'm ready. Let's crank it up.
Righto then. Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of the Hunter's Campfire, where we're going to talk about all things hunting and the great outdoors. And we'll probably throw in a few tips along the way.
You want a tip? Say it once, say it 1,000 times. Goats love rocks.
Or a few things about deer. Mark, what do you reckon about deer?
As a deer hunter, I love hunting pigs.
Well, that's about as useful as I expected it to be. Oh, check it out. Here comes Jono. He's being chased by the neighbour's dog.
Okay guys, let's get this started. Welcome to the Hunter's Campfire. Pull up a chair, get comfortable. It's time for the Hunter's Campfire.
Good evening, gents.
Hello, Jono.
How are you this evening, mate? Looking a bit special over there, must say.
You like it? New
Like you
toys,
got your-
new upgrades. We'll talk about it. No, I'm good. It's been, I don't know. Actually, I say I'm good, but I just wish I was still in the territory.
Oh no, I keep
I
thinking back to it.
We started compiling all of the videos and photos and everything today, and I sat there for half an hour just playing videos of my videos, and then Mark's videos came in and other videos started coming in. I was like, oh, that place is too cool. We got to go. I can't wait to go back. Anyway.
Yeah, I keep talking about it as well. I had a meeting today, and the guy was like, "Oh, I just come back from holidays. I did 5,000 Ks." I was like, 5,000. That's cute.
They're rookie numbers.
Let me tell you what we did. Yeah. Well, they drove from Melbourne to Fraser Island, so that's a pretty good going. But they only did 5,000 Ks, so I think we got one up on them.
Yeah. I missed Fraser this year though. Hopefully we'll get there.
Too, actually.
Might get there in the summer. I think
I'm thinking maybe July holidays next year. Go a bit earlier, get the beginning of the Taylor run, and that way we can still do September. That's what I'm thinking.
There's got to be summer pelagics to chase over there, but
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You have to hit up Adam, I think, and get some tips.
Yeah, Adam, give us a ring, mate. We need to know where to go
and when to go.
It's 40 degrees plus in Mataranka at the moment, which is,
Any rain?
No, I just looked weather Northern Territory, and that's what's come up.
I just noticed
the humidity must have kicked in.
I would say the humidity is getting there. So
I wouldn't want to be there when that rain hits, because those tracks were so dusty. Like the dust on them was like that.
Oh
the
yeah.
First rain on there is just going to be horrendous.
Well, they did say they was expecting 40 mils.
And you see, when there's rain, they don't even head down up into the paddocks.
Go out. There's no use, because I was just suppose because you just spend your days debogging yourself. That's all you do. Yes, the territory. Like, I'm so keen that I like that old ad for Remington. I'm buying the rifle. I'm currently in negotiations to buy a double gun.
Are you wheeling and dealing, are you?
Well, not really. I just said, "You want to give me a price?" And I said, "We'll give you a price." And away we go.
They are in the arms business, I hear.
Yes. I'm probably going to put a recoil pad on.
Oh, let's talk about that.
Has your bruise healed up now?
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, you can talk it off.
Dig
that
scars,
dinner plate size bruise on your shoulder was pretty damn cool.
Chicks dig scars, mate. Who cares?
He's walking around like this for the rest of the week, just like
guns
showing.
out. Look at my guns. Look at my guns.
Yeah. You know what? It's the pack. That was the problem. No French double gun hunter ever wore a pack. You know, they've got
He's got someone to carry it for
them,
yeah.
and it just kept on sliding off the pack, and I just didn't care at the time, and that's what it was. So that's why I want to put a recoil pad on it. I want to make it grippier, and the other thing is just the territory is so hard on equipment. It needs something to protect that butt end. It just needs something to sit on that's not, you know, high grade timber. I mean, I had it rest on my foot. I was doing everything, but you just still could not help but, you know.
Like a stock sleeve with some ammo rings in it or something like that.
I'm not a big fan of stock sleeves. I've had them before. I never did like them. So I've got to experiment with that. And I've got 11 months to experiment.
Yeah. Let's do it all again.
Yep.
All right.
So, Farmer Joe.
Get your breeches on.
Let's talk about the corn harvest.
Well, at least two of us are wearing bino rigs. Why?
That's right. Because my eyesight's failing.
Yeah. Well, so where's the backstory? The backstory is, well, inside there's a pair of Steiner LRFs. Now, we're quite partial to be using these things. They're good. They're awesome binos. They've got the rangefinder in them. That's what LRF stands for, the laser rangefinder. And we all had to go scrambling for new ideas for bino rigs when the LRFs showed up, because they were a little bit longer than the normal binos, and they didn't fit.
To demonstrate, they didn't fit. Keep talking. I'll demonstrate.
Brilliant. So I always wanted the twin needle bino harness, and I was using the twin needle bino harness. Wow, look at that. If you're not looking at that, go to the YouTube version of this and look at that. Give us a thumbs up while you're there. That'd be cool. They're a good, 15% taller?
Strange enough, when I did the review, if you get a rangefinder and put it sideways and put it on there, that's basically it's a pair of binos plus a rangefinder is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. There's just a rangefinder built into there. So that's what it is.
So it's got to go somewhere.
Yeah. That's right. They've just stacked the rangefinder on top of it.
Yeah. So I had the twin needle harness, which I really liked. Mark from Bush Edge gave us one of those, and I was using that. It's one that I've always wanted to get, but these ones just didn't fit. So off they went, and at the same time, we just started talking.
They went off to me.
Off they went to Jono. Yeah, Jono's got them. We just went in searching. So our friends at Valhalla had a range of bino harnesses. So I got the large Mystery Ranch ones, and the Mystery Ranch bino rig actually pretty damn good. Like it's well constructed, very similar to this, to be honest, to the Marsupial Gear ones. But they had a wide version and they had a narrow version. They didn't have a tall version, but the wide version, it took the LRFs, but only just. And when I mean only just, the top flap, the main pocket flap, didn't close properly with the LRFs in there. If I fiddled around with it, I could get it to shut and the magnets would work, but it really didn't fit perfectly. So I mucked around with that a little bit too much, and eventually we ended up at this territory trip, and Adam, who came along, bought a pair of the LRFs, and he bought the large Marsupial Gear bino rig from Michael over at Apex, and he was able to show us the large version of what Mark already had. You got the medium one, I think, don't you, Mark?
No, mine's a large. Mine just doesn't have the filled-in sides. So if you look at that one, some of them have
like filled-in
side.
So it may not be a. Oh, what's that one? Oh, you've got one of them now.
I have two. I used to have three. I sold one. This is the one for my son, which carries standard binos. Yeah. And it's got the filled-in sides.
Yeah. I think this one's a bigger. I think the one that I'm wearing is a bigger, is a longer one than yours.
Yeah.
Sounds very weird, doesn't it? Mine's longer than yours, mate.
Can't help genetics, I suppose.
Because when I open this, I've got an inch below the top.
Yeah. So mine's just right.
Oh, similar.
Oh. Yeah,
Very similar.
I think
it's just a different shape that gives it a different
look.
look.
Sides on it just gives it more shape. It gives it
correct.
rolls
It's
out
just
a
a
little
shape.
bit more.
Yeah.
Whereas mine folds in a little bit. That's the only difference.
Again, if you're listening, not watching, and you're interested, go and watch it because we're sort of showing it as we go. But very impressed with the comfort and the fit of the harness. It's really good. So, and a good range of accessories. They came.
Yeah, what accessories have you got?
I'm going to take it off now because I can't really show it easily. But I bought. I bought this pouch, which is big enough for Zolio, and it has a front pocket on the front to chuck in whatever you want, probably a wind checker, and inside it, it's got a couple of loops. Put a couple of rounds into, but that one I bought specifically for the Zolio. And I also bought the pouch that went underneath it. Now, these have got specific names, but anyway, got a pouch underneath, put a mobile phone in one, and this just carries the extra round, which for the first time, really, this type of hunting that we were doing up at the territory required quick access to rounds. Because once you burnt your magazine and the old buffalo wanted to come and kill you, you needed quick access to rounds. So we've got that. But all in all, it's a bloody good bit of gear. And
the Spartan bipod, is that fit on the side nicely?
Does it fit inside the main housing?
No, on the side. Does it fit nicely or?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, fits perfect.
Nicely. Cool. Does it fit nicely? I wouldn't want a quick draw.
Okay.
It fits really well, but it means that I've got to, take a second to take it out because it fits nice and snug in here.
Yeah, you don't want to lose it.
But if you're going to be in a situation where you need a bipod, you're probably not in a situation where you need to be scrambling at high speed to do it.
Normally, when you've seen the animals and they haven't seen you,
that's the way I rationalise it. It's there for when I need it, and I don't usually need it quickly.
If you put things in those side pouches, what it does compress it a little bit. So you have to watch. You don't put anything too large in there because it's literally. So I've got a wind checker in mine on that side, and that side I've got a tickler, and I got a little light. Now, having a light on this is fantastic.
Yeah,
because it just illuminates. But it's that kind of ambient light rather than directional light. So that combined with the headlamp, you get fantastic light. I got the same. I got an old Zolio pouch, and that's actually the tall pouch, but my phone lives in that one, and I've got the base pouch, which has got the ammo, and in mine I've got
another
knife sharpener.
Yeah. One of his 10 knives.
In the very bottom zip, I've got a little
knife.
No, it's a tool. It's actually a camera tripod tool. It's cool. And in the back of it, I got a little bit of first aid. Tweezers and band-aids and cotton buds, which I stick in there. So not major stuff, but if anyone's got something stuck.
Tweezers is actually a good idea because when we were in the territory, I got a grass seed, like a splinter, and I couldn't get busted out. So having tweezers would have helped. So that's actually not a bad thing to carry.
I started carrying that after we went to Mark Hobbs' place and drove around in that side by side, and every living thing on that property hit me in the face.
Yeah, well,
as my eyes were watering and this thing sticking in me, it was brutal. So I've never had that before, but I took that. So yeah, I've been using them for a couple of years. I started with a smaller pouch that handled the 10 by 42s, and I moved up to the bigger pouch with the LRS. One thing I did find that recently reviewing the Lupo, I think they're the BX4 rangefinder. So they have a rangefinder that is similar length to a normal binocular, but it's much fatter. So they've gone the other way. They haven't gone the long, they've gone the fat way. And that fitted snugly, but it still worked, but it was quite snug.
I was trying to find which podcast Michael was on, but I just wanted to say, Michael came with us on the trip, and he was a ring in at almost not last minute, but pretty close to when we were going, and he was our in-camp bow hunter. So we talked a bit about Michael's journey on the last podcast, which was a lot of fun, and we'll get the videos out shortly so you can have a look at how close he got to the action. Some pretty good footage of it, but it was good having him on because he works down at Apex Hunting, and we were able to talk to him about a whole range of gear. And last minute when we're just moving gear around and trying to figure out what we need to do, he was handy to have on the crew to be able to fill the gaps with some last minute gear. And we're also lucky enough that they stock this Marsupial Gear, so he was able to talk to us about the different sizes, what fit, what didn't, what worked, what didn't, the type of harnesses and straps that they had, the whole range of stuff. So if you are looking at picking up something to suit your LRFs, if you've ended up buying a pair of Steiner LRFs, or you've got a different pair and they're slightly longer like these ones, have a chat to Michael. He knows his stuff. They've got a good range. In fact, I think he may well be over at, where is he? No, he's not.
He is there at the
he won't
moment.
be over
He's there. I think he's actually at Marsupial Gear in the States at the moment.
They're made in the States.
Yep.
With a kangaroo on the front.
Yep.
I'll deceive me.
It's American. It's surprising given the
It's
name, but
not.
it is an American brand. It is.
I thought I was buying Australian
They
made.
flew him to the States.
No, it's
They
American.
didn't fly him down to Sydney. They flew him to the States, mate.
I know he went to the States. I was about to say, I think he's at, oh shit, hang on, I think he's gone to Kafaru. He's gone to Kafaru and a bunch of other places as well. But
He's gone.
I thought he was going to
Marsupial Gear. It was an American dirty
He's
bastard.
going to Marsupial Gear. About
You'd think with the name they'd be Australian, but no, it's American.
no, it's American.
Huh. You learn something every
Earls
day.
feels cheated now.
Well, they've got all the cool animals. What do they call it? Oh, it's like the Tatonka, right? Tatonka is
Because it's a
the
pouch.
Native
man.
American word for buffalo.
Yeah, it's a pouch.
Is that what it is?
Made by Tatonka. Haven't you watched
Tatonka's a
Dances
pouch.
with Wolves with
Yeah, the tongue.
I have, but yeah, I don't remember.
Tatonka. Yeah.
That's it.
And that's what the picture is, a bison. And the logo.
Because it's a,
You're
big-
still trying to
And it's
figure
New
out what
Zealand made.
the abstract picture is in the logo. It's a New Zealand product.
Concert. Yeah, I know it's a New Zealand product, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find where they are. Sewn in the US, Jim and Hannah Graham. And Michael's gone there to
So
check
he's-
them out.
The moral of the story, he's up on his gear, knows his stuff. Ring Michael, Apex, good guy. They'll sort you
Get
out.
your gear sorted.
They might
And
even give
they
you a
make,
100%
and they
discount.
also make plenty
there
of
was
other
one.
stuff other than bino rigs. They make some very nice gear in a lot of different areas. I've got two pouches, I suppose you would call them, coming for inside my backpack, which I will put my meat processing gear and my first aid into.
Right.
I've got them coming, and they're blaze orange, which is why I bought.
Blaze orange dry bags or something like that.
No, not a dry bag. It's like a
Just a gear bag.
upgraded version of your old pencil case.
Hmm.
But they make all sorts of cool stuff. And so if you look at their stuff, they've actually made some really interesting stuff. Like they make handgun. You can get a handgun fitting for your Marsupial Gear bino pouch if you want. So
You get
you
lots
know,
of
for
use
bow
here,
hunters
wouldn't
that
it?
often have the handgun there underneath. So lots of cool stuff.
Well, as well as hunting with bears and wolves and
Yeah,
everything
that's
else around,
That's
you had
exactly
one
right.
handgun.
They've got a really interesting range of stuff. They've also got this little like a lens cleaner that you can clip onto your marsupial pouch.
I carry one of those
nice little
on
idea.
my harness. It's a camera one with a little microfiber cloth that tucks
Yeah.
into it, and I use that for my binos and that when I'm out when they get dusty. So
I cheat and just
What-
use
what have you
those
got for your
disposable
binos?
wipes.
Because I need to borrow it because
It's-
mine are full of dust.
no, I carry it. Yeah, it's a little microfiber cloth that tucks up into itself. Like into a little pouch,
Like
And
you
I have
with
it clipped
the
on. It's a camera one.
How
And I have that on
waterproof
my
are these
harness.
binos? I was just going to submerge them with the skull. Yeah.
You carry those.
I carry them in my bino pouch.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, my talking about that, I've got a pair of Swarovski binoculars that I've had for 20 years, and still work beautifully. But I was in the Pilliga, and
rangefinder.
No, they're not rangefinder. This was before rangefinders were integrated into binos.
Fair enough.
But I was stalking in on a billy, and I was crawling on my belly, and the binos weren't in a harness, and they dragged through the sand, and I got sand all in the lenses, and I didn't know how to clean them, so I actually contacted Swarovski Australia, and the rep got back to me, and he says, all you do is you walk into the shower and you just hold them under the water and you just wash them, because they're rated to like 10 meters waterproof, and you just sit there and wash them or submerge them in a bucket and shake them till the dust comes off. That's what the Swarovski rep told me to do.
I reckon the Steiners are going to be similar.
I ain't doing that with my Stein.
I reckon they would be.
Weird reading.
Lifetime warranty, mate. Lifetime warranty. Forever warranty.
Yeah,
it's not
forever
like
warranty doesn't. Generally, forever warranty doesn't cover you from submerging electronic equipment.
How's that different to being in a massive deluge?
I think there is some difference.
I'm going to look up the.
I'm going to see if it says yes, you are allowed to submerge these in a bucket of water.
But yes, I will just say I am jealous of the Predator LRFs, and I'm eagerly awaiting the new Steiner. I think it's the Ranger LRFs. Correct.
And they have with the E-scope.
So I'm eagerly awaiting that to come
about
out.
It today.
Oh, really? Did he give an ETA or?
No, but what they were talking about was the thing called the E-scope, and the LRFs the new ones being able to talk to your phone, and so you can plot location with them with your phone, and it comes up on Google Maps.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
That's
a really cool feature. If you didn't understand what Mark just said, when you shoot the animal across the gully or on the other cliff face or wherever it might be, you can range find the location where you shot it, and it'll drop that spot on your map so that you can walk down and up the other side and find exactly where you were looking when you took the shot, which I think is just the best thing. I was just wondering with
even for navigation and things like that. You know, if you're again somewhere like Nundle and you've got to cross a pretty ugly gully, and you want to get to, because you see a lovely, clearing on the other face, and you think, I want to go there, you could do that as well. You could range that space, drop a pin on it, and actually navigate your way up to there.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool too.
So the Predator LRFs are waterproof up to 1 meter.
Yeah, which is what.
Well, what if I hold the bucket of water higher than a meter? Would that be okay?
It's actually, it works on water pressure. So if you kind of dribble the water on, you might not create enough pressure.
Pressure. Yeah. So the shower should be right.
The shower should be okay.
I think I'm weird if I go into the shower.
No, hang on. Where are you?
Just my bino harness on. Huh?
You're at the range.
What's your elevation? Yeah, what's your elevation?
Is that greater or lesser pressure?
No, the meter will be.
It increases as you go up, and increases when you go down.
Yeah.
So you need to go down to go down to the beach and use one of those outdoor showers.
Get your pump shower.
Your pump shower at the beach. At the beach.
What were they called again? Beach Sol.
Oh, yes. Sol.
What a good product while we're plugging product. Not that we have to plug their product or want to plug their product, but that's what we use for the shower in the territory. It's such a cool thing. No batteries, no pumps, none of that. Just a manual, like an old backpack sprayer concept.
It's like your weed sprayer that you'd get for your garden, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. So good. Best thing.
I have one.
Except when it got clogged up, and it was.
Oh yeah,
it was just like.
Yeah, that was because we run it on creek water. So.
Yeah.
Oh no,
the fish in the butt.
The ants marched in 2x2 and just found their way in and destroyed it. But anyway, once I cleaned the filter out, she was all good.
And we had a baby barra in the bucket as well.
Imagine if that was in a pump. Those ants, that would have.
Imagine if it was an electric pump and you try to pressurise it and sucked all the ants up into the rotor, and then went.
It'd be like Mike on the side by side again.
Yeah. Well, that's the bino harness. You heard it here. Go get it. It's good. Was there any other gear? I mean, we talked about NT last podcast, but now we've had a bit more time to reflect. Is there anything else that you're replacing or tuning up? What's come out of that you might now think about for next time?
I think we spoke about it on the last one, but I've got a brisket knife. That knife again, which has got the stubby nose to open up the back. I think because I had the outdoor edge with the gut hooked up blade on it. It worked really, really well until I got blunt because those hides are just so thick. But I've got the brisket knife, which I'm going to be using on the next trip, that's for sure. But I'm not going to change too much, to be honest. I was pretty happy with my gear.
Yep. Last time we came back, we said, I wish we bought more meat. This time we bought lots of meat. But is there anything other than not shooting a massive bull? Is there anything that you just didn't get time to or wish you had done this trip? You probably would have taken more meat, Jono.
I would have if I'd had the ability to, yes. And I think next trip, as I mentioned on the last podcast, I'm taking a vac sealer and I'm going to break it down. I'm going to vac seal it because it'll make packing into the fridge a lot better and a lot easier, and the meat will keep. So I had one backstrap spoil, was right at the bottom of the fridge, and it was just compressed and it wasn't very well packaged, because we're field dressing basically. So I'm thinking of putting a bit more effort into it. Like I had that back leg, that one hind quarter, which I broke down into the primary muscles and then just put in a bag and put in the fridge. Now I'm going to vac seal it and then start aging straight away in the fridge. That's what and it'll just create more space. We've all got pretty good batteries now with inverters into them, because I was going to get a rechargeable 12 volt vac sealer. So you can get a lithium one, which you can recharge of 12 volt. But we've all got such good batteries now with inverters that I'm just going to take my 240 and just sit there and vac seal backstraps and vac seal, break down a leg and vac seal it. We'll get so much more meat back, and we can start the aging process straight away. It's just going to improve the meat quality. It's going to improve the hygiene of the meat because it's not going to be exposed to bags and open air and things like that, and we can bring more back. So I think that's going to be a good something I'm definitely going to do.
Good call, Mark.
I'm thinking, because we both bought those Blue Eddies or whatever you call them.
Blue Eddy.
I haven't got any. So I've done all the processing already, but before we go to the territory, I'm actually going to test it. I'm going to see how long my Blue Eddy will last powering my vac sealer.
It's a good idea. I'm going to get an induction cooktop for it. See how long. Have you got one of them, Jono?
I do have an induction cooktop. Yes.
I'd like to borrow it to see.
I took it to mobile. No, not to mobile. To Baraba. Yeah. Baraba. Yeah.
So far I made a dozen coffees and I haven't dropped below 80%.
You can take my induction.
I want to test the vac sealer.
Next time I see you, I'll bring the induction. You can give that a run.
Yeah. So I took the little chainsaw, which is the 18 volt, and I have already investigated, and there is a complementary to 18 volt fan that I can use. So so just take, and I only use a chainsaw. Actually, the chainsaw was taken to chop animals, but with the reciprocating saw, it became redundant. The only time I did use it is when we actually pulled the buff out of the creek. I used it to trim some trees before I pulled it up.
So I've invested in one of those recips. I bought the Ryobi recip. I actually needed it for my fence, and I thought, well, this is a dual purpose.
Well, I've already got one. I just wouldn't mind finding
That's how I sold it.
I've already got one, but I don't have blades at the moment that are for meat or for bone.
There's an online store. I'll share you the link to.
I'm sure. I've seen butchers use them. Yeah.
Yep. So I've got this. I've got the Makita Recipro because that's the standard that I use is Makita, and I just bought these meat blades online, and they've been brilliant.
Yeah, they all fit each other. It's a standard fitting.
They're generally, the bayoneting function is generally universal. So that was the other thing. The fan, I wouldn't mind taking a fan. I like the idea of taking the vac sealer.
I like the idea of Jono's air conditioners.
I have two air conditioners
in my camper.
Yeah, well, what are we all going to sit in your camper?
No, I wasn't
No,
invited.
no, no. This is pure selfishness. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're gonna just shut the door. Are you
from the
go?
window.
We're gonna be
Like
sitting in
a
that.
little
We're gonna be sitting in
do
there,
not
and he's gonna be
disturb
in
sign.
his.
Do not disturb. You know.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah, and then the other thing I said is on the last podcast on the recap generator. I think that's a necessity.
Yeah. As a power.
It's a big ticket item.
It is. Yeah, I think it's a necessity. And that way we if we're vac sealing meat, you know, we can get more meat in the fridges. If we've got a Jenny to provide backup power,
Might as well be towing a cool room.
Yeah, like old mate. Yeah.
I did see one online actually for sale.
Well, I saw what did I see? It was a 5,000 liter esky. So one of those. It was a huge thing.
That's not an esky. You can't have a 5,000 liter esky.
It was a custom made 5,000 liter. And I was thinking, put that on the back of the trailer. We can fill it with gear on the way up, and then on the way back, we can just fill that whole thing.
Wheels to it and call it a trailer.
That's right. That's not an esky.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, the other thing then, while we're finishing off territory stuff, meat. So much meat, which
Tons.
is good. But what are you doing with it, Mark? You've already started hacking yours to bits.
So I've made 33 very big burger patties, and I posted about that. And they're back in the freezer now, because my latest vac sealer is so good. I actually didn't make them in patties. I made them as meatballs, and I didn't. And when it vac sealed, it kind of started to compress them, which is good because in the past I've made patties and put it in, and it compresses and it squishes them. Literally squishes the buggery out of them. So I've got those in the freezer at the moment. So there's 32 plus 1. So that, and I worked on the four per family. So that's 8 meals and that. A goodly chunk has gone to my neighbour kind of diagonally across the road, who's going to make it into jerky. And there's 3 or 4 steaks, and I've already had I had one as a test, and it worked pretty well. They've after nearly 2 weeks of aging, nearly 2 weeks. So when I got home, like everyone else, as soon as I could, I vac sealed it all and wet aged it, and then I went away for 7 days on hold with the family. So it was the 7 days, and then I got back and I didn't get to it till about day 9, I think. So it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Salted it up, just straight in the pan. Still a bit chewy, but I reckon they'll be, after freezing and coming out, I reckon they'll be, if you don't let them go too long, they'll be...
I reckon it's going to make a hell of a nice, 7-hour slow cooked.
Oh, yeah. It's
in lamb fat.
Yeah, there's just so much meat there, you know, you could just, it's just going to, whatever it's going to be fantastic.
Sous vide, I think, would be pretty good as well.
Yeah,
it's funny. I made the mistake. I had a what would you call it? I had what do you call them? A wether. A nutless sheep.
What sheep is that? Is that an old sheep?
That's a male castrated sheep that's older than Hogget. So it turns into mutton. So he would have been 4.5 years old, maybe 5 years old. Big old bruiser. But I'd just never gotten rid of him, never done anything with him, and I hung him up. And because he was so big, he produced a lot of meat. And I thought, it's going to be a bit average. But worst thing is, it won't be any good, and I'll mince it up and give it to the dog. Well, anyway, the first leg that I did, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to sous vide this thing. So I took, I'd broken the hind quarter down into, so you had the shank end of it for shank, and then the main roast I cut into 2 sections with the reciprosaur. So I had 2 big family mutton roasts, and I decided I'd sous vide it 7 hours in the sous vide, make it nice and tender, and then finish it off over coals or something like that. It was crap. It was so shit. It was the worst. And I thought, what have I done? It shouldn't be that bad. And it was just, the sous vide just did not do it justice. The next one I did the normal way that I would do it, and that would be in a slow roasting pan with stock, 3/4 of the way up the pan, not quite covering the whole thing, covered in alfoil, and in the oven on what I do it on about 140 for 7 hours. Beautiful, absolutely bloody stunning. So I like the sous vide for steaks.
Yeah, I wouldn't do a whole roast though. I would
Big chunk. Well, I thought it. Why not? But anyway, I've done the test. It didn't work. Don't do it. It ruins it. Okay. But anyway, I quite like the idea. But anyway, so I'm really keen to use that same slow roasting method on a big chunk of buffalo meat, just to see how tender and amazing it comes out. So I think it would be yum.
Yeah.
So when you do a steak with the sous vide, how long are you sous videing it for?
5 or 6 hours.
Oh,
yeah, I normally do 3 to 4, depending on the thickness.
At least 3. At least three. But after 3, anywhere between 3 and 10 doesn't matter. And that's the thing.
It's got to get to the right temperature.
You got to get to the right internal temperature. That's all it's got to do. And once it's done that, if you've got guests coming over, if you like, you can have them in the sous vide. If you know that they're going to be there and you want dinner at 6 o'clock, then you're going to put them on, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They're ready. And if you get carried away and you open a bottle of wine and dinner's not till 8, doesn't matter. Veggies are late. So, if you turn on, doesn't matter.
Are you still browning them out in a pan?
Reverse searing them at the end. I throw them on the barbecue.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I throw them on the barbecue and hit them with flame.
Yep.
Yeah. So what I find as well is if I put garlic with it and then sous vide it, the garlic overpowered it for me.
Yeah.
I like just salt and pepper. And then,
my lovely wife is eating steak more often, so
a sous vide steak, whether it's venison or beef, is just superb, absolutely superb.
Yeah,
okay.
I think for medium rare, you kind of want around 70 degrees. That's the temperature I go to.
You mean on the sous vide or on
the sous vide? On the
so
sous
you
vide.
set it at that.
So it's going to go to that temperature. So you build the water to 75 degrees, and then you have a piece of steak vac sealed, and you put it in the water, and you leave it for 3 to 4 to 5 hours, whatever. And it can only go to that temperature.
Yeah.
And that's the internal temperature of the meat.
And I'm assuming the better quality ones get up to that temperature quicker.
So it doesn't really make a difference.
Or is it? Oh, okay. So it's not. It can be a slow.
It's more around the thickness of the meat that's going to take for that meat to get to that temperature. The quality of the meat's not going to affect the duration, in my view. It's more around the thickness or the size of the meat. And then all it's doing is coming up to that temperature, and then all you're doing is taking it out of that, drying it, putting some oil on it in a hot pan or on the coals, and you're just getting a crust on it. You don't want to, because it's cooked. It's cooked. It's at the right temperature. You just want to seal the outside, and it's beautiful. It's delicious.
I might invest in one. Try it for the.
It's hardly an investment. They're cheap. They're definitely worth it. But there's lots of stuff I'd like to do with this meat. Funnily enough, I was having a brief exchange with a listener on Instagram. Now, I'm not going to be able to say the name of his business. Have you seen it? Jump on Instagram, Jono. Tell me how to pronounce this.
Are you talking to him on Instagram?
Was it Michael?
I just answered a comment. It's called Smoking Gauchos.
Gaucho. A gaucho. That's a South American cowboy. It's a gaucho.
That's great. I'm from New Zealand.
Cowboy.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, gaucho.
He's a
Gaucho.
cowboy, isn't
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah,
Smoking Gaucho. I don't know this guy
Gaucho
at all, but he commented on one of our posts, and as I look at his pictures, clearly knows how to cook stuff. So I'm quite keen to catch up with this fella because he does wood fire cooking and smoking and all this sort of stuff. It'd be awesome to see what someone who knows what they're doing can do with a slab of buffalo meat.
That's, when we had Peter Ryan on, he was talking about how he was in South America and they'd sat around at those massive barbecues.
Yeah.
That's that.
Great.
Or
that's smoking gauchos.
That.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right.
Gaucho, I think gaucho is cowboy.
That's what I think it is, yeah. Gaucho is cowboy. Yeah. Smoking gauchos. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I agree. So he listened to our last podcast because he commented, hopefully he's listened to this one.
Yeah.
I'll send you a message. Let's see if you're somewhere nearby and we can get some kilos of buffalo meat on whatever it is that you do magically. That'd be fun.
So a
That's what I wanna
gaucho is a skilled horseman reputed to be brave and unruly.
Mm.
So, you're talking Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay.
Yeah.
Those kind of places.
To me, that's a gaucho South American cowboy. That's what I think of. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. If you haven't seen his Instagram page, go and find him. He's got some cool stuff on there. Other than that, I've minced a bunch. I'm going to turn it into burger patties, things like that. So I quite like that. But a lot of it is still in very big chunks. So definitely going to be making biltong. Definitely going to be making jerky.
Well, you said the magic word.
I know. Segway.
I've invested in something. So.
For those that are listening and not watching, Jono's holding up a giant stainless steel box with a glass door that we assume is something to do with cooking meat.
It is.
You would assume that's where you
to make
Hitler's head.
It is a biltong cabinet, is what they call them. So this one can do, I think, up to 7 kilos of wet meat. So because obviously I'm down in Brisbane with the humidity, and you can probably hear the rain in the background. We just can't dry biltong at this time of the year; it's impossible. So you've got to use some artificial drying methods. You can use the old box with the light bulb, but I've decided to invest in a proper cabinet just to keep it a bit more hygienic at the right temperature. So this one is down at 20 degrees for biltong, so it's going to be nice and low and slow. It's very different to jerky. You can dehydrate in this one as well. It comes with the racks, and you can make jerky and all that if you want to, but it's got the hooks and the rails to make biltong.
So
what
yours
is
a Kalahari biltong machine?
It is. It's called Kalahari Kabu.
Yeah, I just found it.
Yeah, that's the one.
There's a Boss.
Yeah, so I got the KL12, I think it is. It's the middle one.
Yeah.
That's the one I got.
There's a small one on sale. There's a middle-sized one, and there's a big one.
Yeah, so I didn't go for the big one. I went for the middle one. So
okay.
How much?
On sale,
I think it was.
The small one is on sale for $3.95. The KK12, that's not KKK12, by the way, just KK12. That's $4.95.
Yeah, it might be South African,
Yeah, well, hey, come on. And KK16 is $9.95. And unfortunately, the photos look like it's what's the name, like halibut or something like that, or fish.
Well, I tell you what, no, you say that in the recipe book, it came with making marlin jerky, salmon jerky, and tuna jerky.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, biltong. Yeah, tuna biltong.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So,
look at him. Ooh, and you can get them in black or silver too. Wow.
So I went for the stainless one. Yeah. Look, I haven't used it yet. It literally arrived today. But I read the reviews and they look good, and I'll let you know how it comes out.
Yes. So. Do that. For the listeners, if you've got a biltong recipe, we want it. I want to know.
Yes.
I'm going to steal Jono's anyway. Hendrik came on episode way hell 2 years ago.
Early days,
and we did a biltong lesson. So you can go and watch that video if you want to do it. It's pretty easy to make. I've made quite a bit of it. It's just about motivating yourself to get it done more than anything else. But I'd be keen to understand what spice mixes and stuff you use, Jono, and quantities of stuff. That'd be pretty cool.
Actually, I'll put up a video of making biltong. Got some buffalo biltong. Put up a video.
So, again, what's the difference between jerky and biltong?
Let's do it. Go, Jono.
So biltong is traditionally, and I use the word traditionally, air-dried, and it uses salt as the preservative and obviously air to air-dry it.
Vinegar.
And, well, vinegar as well, yes, to produce. But typically it's just salt, vinegar, and spices. The primary spice is typically coriander, is the main spice that typically goes with biltong. But as I said, traditionally biltong is air-dried. But unfortunately, in a humid climate like Brisbane, it's really hard to do that in this time of the year, especially with the rain pummeling down outside. Jerky is typically and I'll go back. Biltong is usually thickest last, and it's dried at a lower temperature over an extended period. To really slowly dry it out makes it a lot more tender, should I say. whereas jerky is typically very, very thin, heavily marinated. It's a marinade that adds the flavor to it, and then is dried using a humidifier or smoke is the traditional way of doing it at a much higher temperature. It's almost cooking it. So biltong between 20 to maximum 30 degrees, but you want a consistent temperature, whereas jerky is typically around that 70-degree mark and can be dried very, very quickly. Jerky is quite often, as I said, very thin and can be a little bit soft or can be quite hard, where most people like their biltong to be quite soft, what we would say wet is how I typically like mine, quite soft in the middle. But it's usually a lot thicker, a lot bigger, and just dried a lot slower, a lot more tender, more flavor in my view. You're not putting an artificial flavor in from marinades. It's typically salt, pepper, coriander, and vinegar.
And it's still soft.
It is soft, yeah, and that's what I find with jerky.
It's dry. It's dehydrated.
Yeah, and that's what comes with that heat. The heat sort of produces that crust on the outside, so it makes it quite tough and chewy. Where biltong, because it's low and slow, you don't get that heavy crust on the outside, and it's really soft. You should just be able to sit there and cut it with a knife. Some people like their biltong really dry, like brittle, and you can snap it in half. I don't like it like that. I like mine still a bit, moist. But yeah, very, very different. It's typically air dried. So one of these boxes here is going to replicate those conditions of consistent temperature, very little moisture because of the heat that it produces, and it's still going to allow it to dry over an extended period. Whereas jerky, you could have it dry in a couple hours.
And it also does dried vegetables and dried fruit, which is pretty cool.
Correct. It's an all-in-one, yeah. So it does have a dehydrating function as well. So
that's how you also sell it to your wife.
That's how I did sell it. Although I've already got a dehydrator, so.
Yeah. Well, it's just multi-purpose. I'm getting it for the meat.
But I tell you what, I went and bought biltong on the weekend, and they charge like $70 to $80 a kilo. Where I was at the butcher's and I could buy an entire rump for $11.99 a kilo, which was like a 6 or 7 kilo rump, and I could produce all of that biltong and make myself. Now I could save myself money, save the family money.
When you cut biltong, do you cut across the grain or with the grain?
Biltong is across the grain.
Yeah, this picture is across
whereas
the grain.
Jerky is with the grain.
Correct.
That's the other difference.
Correct.
In the picture, it's across the grain, yeah. And when they
biltong
cut
is
it,
across the
there's a pinkishness to the center of it. It's like it's like you're cutting a piece of steak, but it's just.
But and that's because it's not using heat to dry it. It's just removing the moisture from it. Yeah, it's air drying. It's removing the moisture.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to make something.
I wonder if.
And when we catch marlin next month, I'm gonna keep one, and we're gonna make marlin biltong.
So it could be good. I was going to make.
If you're going to get a marlin, what you should do is tack it down its head
with the blue eddy and the hot plate thingy.
Oh, yeah.
What do you call it?
Or we could just do some sashimi.
What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to organise a freight company to drop a pallet off at our location with all these things. And we'll just drive there, and it'll just like.
Can we make a boat trailer?
We'll cut the bubble wrap off, and then there'll just be all these things there. Like,
we need someone to drive to Fraser with the back of the ute and a trailer, and meet us at.
Can't we just get that giant esky of yours and tow it behind the boat?
Put it on skis.
Yeah, put that thing on skis. How big was it again?
Just seal it up.
5,000 litres. Yeah, imagine the displacement on that.
It's like it's not going to sink.
No, it's just seal it up.
Yep.
Don't lose it. It becomes a shipping hazard.
A new artificial reef in the center of the channel.
There was a company that my friend told me about who do kind of the same thing. Is if you go camping, they actually drop you off at a fridge. If you go to a powered site, you ring them up and they put a fridge on your powered site for you. And I thought. That's not a bad idea. We're just taking that. We're stepping that up.
Can I get a powered side of Fraser and they'll bring it?
Well, I brought my own power. Just bring me a fridge.
That's right. You just need a fridge.
Or we could just take everything ourselves.
Yeah. All right. So other than biltong, there's got to be some steaks that are being done.
Yeah, definitely some steaks.
But everything's in the freezer for me at the moment because the general rule of thumb is drop all of this meat in the freezer for 3 weeks and you'll kill off the bacteria. Anything less than that, you're inviting trouble. I mean, not to say that the camp was dirty, but you're handling it.
Yeah, it's not a.
It's not a sanitary environment. You're not going to have stainless steel, clean benches, so we're chopping it up. Safest thing to do is throw it in the freezer. So where mine was wet aged for 3 weeks, and it was bloody good when it came out. So that's now in the freezer ready to go, and we'll just see how it all turns out at the end. But we will report back, and if we can, and you're close, you might even get to try some. See what happens.
Sounds good.
What's next?
So, if that's the eating part, I suppose there's the trophy part.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I didn't have a problem, but there was transporting freshly killed skulls.
Less than fresh.
Less than fresh.
Well, they were fresh at one stage. Transporting skulls that had been killed sometime over the previous 6 days and then driving them 3,000 plus kilometres in the back of a trailer did make for some,
unpleasant,
interesting fragrance.
It was an interesting fragrance before we even left.
It's something like Ode the Dead Buffalo or something like that. Maybe it's a new perfume. It's Ode the Dead Buffalo. Of which some people handled better than others.
I think Adam is still scarred by my head crawling in maggots.
He was not happy in camp. He was just going, "Oh man!"
We might use Adam's photo as our thumbnail for this episode, and then you'll see what we're talking about.
Oh man! I can handle it. So again, that was one of my priorities. I wasn't going to leave that again. I wasn't going to leave a pig jaws, and a buffalo skull for another week. So I used a maceration level where you just drop it in water. Maceration is, I believe, the breakdown of skin and tissue through long exposure to water. So basically, which means you drop it in water and you submerge it and you leave it in there. And it's not the fastest method, but I think it's the easiest method. So if time is not that important to you in your skull preparation, then it's a really easy way to do it. You just need the big enough container. When I unwrapped my stinky skull, the horns were able to slide straight off the bosses.
Yeah.
And so before I did anything, I got my reciprocating saw and chopped off the long boss into a short stub, which meant I could nicely fit it into a black 7-litre garbage bin with a compression lid. So put it in there, dropped a bit of bleach in there with it, more to kill any flies that might settle on it than anything else, and then put a very heavy weight on top of it. Actually, it's one of my old archery, those big shooting dice.
Yeah.
Put that on. Put the pig in a much smaller bucket, Bunnings bucket, and so I had a goat there as well, so I changed the goat over as well and put that in. So I had 3 in the bucket. 2 or 3 weeks later, I can't remember how long. Well, territory, a month now. So, we got back on the 13th. So 3 weeks ago they went in, and on the previous weekend I pressure washed them for the first run, and especially the buffalo skull came up remarkably clean. For whatever reason, I don't know, there must be a reason, is that I've always found that pig skulls and goat skulls have a lot of fat in the skull. The buff didn't seem to have anywhere. It just had a lot more mass, so it had a lot more stuff to come off it. Like there was a lot in the water the first run. It was quite soupy at the top. There was a lot of stuff had floating up. But there was and I posted the photos online. That skull was pretty clean. It was still there was still a big pink part on the beak, as it were, where there was still obvious fat, but a lot of it had gone already. And with the pressure washer, blew everything off. Did the same with pig jaws. Tusks, strange enough, they didn't pull out. They went the other way. They pushed out, so they went back through the base.
Right.
One of those hooks is incredible. It's a fantastic hook. Interestingly, with the hooks, the pig I shot had one hook and had a tiny kind of weird growth that obviously snapped at some side. And the corresponding grinder was shorter and longer. So the grinder where there wasn't a hook was much longer than the one where there was a hook. So, yeah, they had been grinding it down. And I've got the bottom jaw. I'm going to figure out how to mount that guy. So, and the goat skull's now drying. I've had to bring it under cover because it was actually sitting under a tree, drying out nicely. It's starting to rain.
It's not going to be dry now.
Yeah. Well, no, before it started raining, I brought it in because I've actually got a deer skull out there as well. So that they're coming along quite nicely. I reckon another 2 to 3 weeks, and I'll pull the buffalo out again, give it a super duper pressure wash, get all that fat that's in those ear canals and stuff like that out, and then let it dry and see what happens.
Yeah, I was super surprised how quickly that whole process took for that young red deer that I shot. I took that red deer for a demo. It was just a little spiker. In fact, it's over there.
Oh, yeah.
Hanging out over there. And when it came out of the water, how am I going to fix that? Is that going to work? Move. Focus. Come on. You can do it.
Yeah.
I've wrecked it. There we go. All right.
There we go.
It only took took 3 weeks in the water, pressure washed it, dropped it back in for a week, took it back out, pressure washed it again, let it dry in the sun, put a little bit of peroxide paste on it for 20 minutes, washed it off, done. Let it dry, hung it up, finished. Really, really simple. And, you know, the beauty of it is all of those delicate little bones perfectly intact. Yeah, no issues with them at all. So I was really happy with that. And the buffalo skull's done the same as what you've said. I've given it its first pressure wash. All the flesh and stuff is gone. It's now just having another few days. The only difference, I didn't add anything to the water. You said you added a little bit of bleach to yours.
I don't mean I just literally just like that.
Yeah,
and I just find what that does is it kind of puts I've found it makes it less attractive to flies.
Yeah, I'm not certainly not criticising it. I just didn't have any, so I didn't do it.
But I mean, no, that's it. It's not like there's a lot of.
I also think yours came out slightly whiter because of that.
I don't know.
So.
I don't know if I put enough in. I don't know if I put enough into it. I mean, it is 70 litres, and I literally put a splash in it. So
yeah, maybe not.
It would be a very, very low ratio of bleach. Sometimes, what I found with the pig skull over the years, it does help with the pig skull to put detergent in, because detergent seems to help break down the fat quicker, because their skulls can take some time to get all the fat out of them. You know, it just leaches out of the bone. But this buffalo seems to be pretty clean already. And the other thing is that period where you let them dry, I've found that sometimes after about a week of drying, you can, if you give it another pressure wash, anything that was just hanging on has contracted a little bit, and it just blows it out.
Toss it off. Yeah, so I've done mine differently. I've buried mine, and that was because I just didn't have a container big enough to put it in, and it was crawling with maggots, and I just couldn't deal with it. It was just so smelly.
When I put mine in the container of water, about 1,000 maggoty friends came to the surface, and then I realised they didn't care. They could swim. They weren't going anywhere.
So no, I just buried mine. I'm probably going to leave it for another week, and then I'm going to take it out. It should be a little bit better, and give it a first pressure wash, and then I'll probably soak mine in water. I think after that, I'll cut the inside bone off, cut it quite short, and then I've got a container that'll fit in, and then I'll soak it with some bleach in that for another week or two, and then blast it again.
Be done.
And then I'll be done. Yeah, I'm just I think after all this rain, it's just going to soak through, and I don't want it to get stained. So I'll probably dig it up pretty soon and soak it in water.
They're a pretty cool specimen.
Mm.
Like the buffalo skull is a pretty cool specimen. It's it's a good shaped head.
I found it a lot lighter than I expected it to be too.
Yeah, we didn't take any massive bulls, but would it have made a huge difference?
I think it would have. I think a big bull skull would have been. But remember, we took bottom jaws off, we took tongues out.
Yeah, no, just when I picked it out of the water, I went, oh, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, It's empty now.
Yeah, it's right.
I think when it's covered in skin and everything else, when you pack it out,
that's
it's
a lot lighter than I thought it was going to be.
At the end of the day, it's just a bit of bone, that's all. So, yeah, I think we lightened it quite a bit in the field. Certainly, I think a big bull with all that skin and bottom jaw, and that would be pretty heavy.
Yeah. The only challenge of the soaking in water process is handling that wastewater. That's the challenge.
I just tip it on the lawn.
That's right. Well, if you can, you got some big enough space where you can tip it on lawn. You like your lawn to have,
brown patch in the middle.
There's no bleach in mine.
Dissolving.
Oh, you don't have bleach, yeah. True.
No, it's more the dissolving fat that's going to be in there that attracts every kind of.
You know what? It didn't. Dog
didn't go rolling it.
That's right.
Well, they paid it a little bit of attention, but you can control your dog. But I didn't find once I tipped it into the lawn, and then I had this the pressure washer out, and I put it on the ground, and I'm putting fresh water over it as I'm pressure washing. There's more bits of shit flying everywhere. The birds came in and ate most of it, and within a couple of hours, you didn't even know it was there. So, and you live in the city, you just walk it out and tip it down the drain, out the front of your house. Is that what you do?
No.
With your
waste to the creek, you cannot do that.
It flows at the creek, mate. That goes at the creek. No, I've got a anti-splash, so you don't,
get it in your mouth.
Splay bash thing.
It
works really well.
I wish I had one of those.
It's a really good system, the anti-splash.
Yeah, when you stick it in the eye socket or the brain, or in the brain socket, it's like
you get a bit of
blowback.
Oh yeah, okay, I've got that on me for the rest of the day. Yeah. So I've got this. I made an anti-splash thing.
I may have got some in my mouth. I'm not sure. Yeah, it was pretty gross.
Yeah.
All right, so that's our skull prep. Don't think we need to give anyone any more instructions. Stick it in water. Wait. Gurney, repeat. It's great. It's easy, and it does a great job.
It's better than boiling, I think.
It's way better. And the bone doesn't become brittle.
Well, you should never boil it. It should simmer.
Well, that's the thing is, this takes that guesswork out of it. I actually think when you boil it, you still often got to get it off.
Yeah.
With this, it just mostly just comes off by itself, very slowly.
Well, even fishing the brain out of the brain cavity with the little whole stem and the base of the skull. When mine came out of the water, it all just went bloop and fell out.
It just comes
You didn't
out.
have to go fishing for it. It had completely come away from the inside.
That's it. And when I did that, all I did was I stuck the gurney nozzle in there and hit it, which is one of those potential spray events, and it blows it all out, and it's clean as a whistle. But that's one of those ones you got to watch out for.
So I guess on the next trip, we're going to take a drum or something like that and simmer them while we're up there just to clear it up a little bit, or are you going to bring it back smelling?
Well, it didn't bother me. Just wrapped it up and threw it on the back of the camper.
I didn't find it too much. I mean, I like the idea of maybe throwing it in the creek for a couple of days. Well,
that's what I thought was a good idea.
Storing
just got to be careful with the crocs.
You just don't know what crocs are there.
That's right. You don't want
just
something to go. That's right.
Did somebody else go first? And if they lose theirs,
to be honest, I kept mine on that last night. Mine was so full of maggots that I threw it in the creek and I tied it up and put some rope on it, and I actually put the rope through the eye socket because I didn't want the horn pulling off. So I properly secured it and I chucked it in. And when I came down in the morning, the fish were having the absolute feast of their life down there with all those maggots and that had come out of it. But a croc hadn't touched it. But I did have a yabby trap destroyed by a croc. We did put a whole barra carcass inside the trap, and I think the croc got inside it and absolutely destroyed it. So that probably wasn't the right idea, but buffalo skull I think might be okay.
I'm just not, you know what, for the little amount of work that it took really to get it back, I'm not driving all the way up there and shooting a trophy bull or a bull of any kind and risking it. You'd be gutted.
I might find a better way of storing it when up there. Maybe the thing to do is bury it when you're up there.
Mm.
Though I buried the pig's jaw for a couple of days, and that came out real stinky.
Yeah, I don't reckon Jono's going to have a good time.
It's just so hot, you know. It's kind of like a low performing hungy type of thing.
Yeah, we've got meat ant nests around the farm. We've got a couple of them around.
That's the best thing. That's the best thing.
You know, chucking it on one of them would be good. But
do you know in America you can actually get those beetles? You can actually have those beetles, and they have farms of them, and you basically just put your trophy in them, and the beetles just eat all of the meat off them in like a couple of days.
Yeah,
and people breed them.
If you bury all the heads up there, then you don't get a totem pole, and it's not fun, and whatever. It's more like a cemetery. That totem pole was impressive, but
maybe just taking a can of
maybe put
spraying them every day with Raid
totem pole next time rather than downwind, and it's really
just spraying them with Raid.
All right, moving on. The subject. So hunting season has still got some legs in it for you two. Mine's shut down. I'm done. I'm on to fishing. You guys have got plans?
Yeah, I've got one more. I think one more outing coming up this weekend. One of the farmers put out a bit of an SOS, just saying that he's got so many deer on the property, and he wants a couple more shot before they drop. I think I'm probably going to head up on Sunday and see if we can get a few deer on the ground just to help the farmer out. It's getting pretty late. Still got a couple of weeks, but I mean the hinds are going to be quite far along now. But yeah, I think I'll probably head out on Sunday. Hopefully, I don't really need the meat. It's more of a favour to the farmer, but I can always top up the freezer. It's not an issue.
Cool. And Mark?
Okay, I'm back. So I actually want to go up and just talk to the property owners because I haven't spoken to them for a little while, so I just want to reacquaint myself. I have been keeping in contact by text, but I want to go up and say hello. And more than anything, I want to put out some trail cameras and get an idea of what's happening. So that'll be it. And I'll probably continue to do that through all of summer. Go up there either really early in the morning or in the afternoon, have a poke around with the rifle, put some cameras up, track. So it'll be low intensity, but I'll keep in touch. Because I scored that adjacent block early in the year. I want to see what stags coming around because I passed up a 5 with because I was just so impressed of watching it for the day. I passed it up with the intention I'd come back and get it. The next time I went back, they'd gone. So that's the way it goes. But I want to see what's happening in that space. But I'm in the transition to fishing. So I'm actually going fishing. What is it? It's Tuesday night on Thursday night. So first run for the season down to the Gold Coast canals to chase whiting at night. So.
Very good.
And we were discussing as a family, currently we have 8 types of meat in our fridge, which is not bad, really.
That's good.
That's very good.
So we've got, we got the chicken and the beef and the pork, but we've also got wild fish, and then we've got and lamb too. Sorry, so we've got the 4 purchased ones, but we've also got wild fish, which I want to add to with some whiting. Still got some bream in there. I want to add some whiting to it. And then at the moment we've got red, we've got goat, and we've got buffalo.
It's a good assortment.
Which is really quite nice considering, we live in deepest, darkest suburbia. So that's probably it for me in terms of where I want to head for the next. And I suppose the standout though is I'm also keen to start going back. We'll go to the range with my oldest boy and get him squared away, start that process, get him his junior license. It's more not so much of a rush because he can't hunt in New South Wales till he's 12 anyway, but that'll happen. It's coming. The clock is ticking. So we want to move towards getting that junior license. So in April when we go down to Nundle, wherever we're going next year, might be able to take him with me.
No plans for a Pilliga summer hunt?
Probably not. I'll probably stick around and look after the family. I may, but I'm kind of thinking I'm with our big hunt to the territory. I'm going to stick around with the family, and we had a really good beach holiday. We decided we're not going to probably go anywhere over Christmas, so I'm going to hang around here and do stuff around the house and hang out with the boys and take them to the pool and X, Y, and Z. I kind of might go to the Pilliga, but I'm thinking if I go to the Pilliga, I'll probably go in July again. I'll go next year in July. And speaking of Pilliga, fairly comprehensive report that there is deer there.
Oh, really?
And camels.
Very comprehensive.
And camels as well.
There is camels there. I don't know if they're wild camels or they might be, because I live at the Gap, and over in Brookfield there's a camel. I don't know if that's one of the escapees from the central Queen Australia. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the Pilliga either. But there's a photo of a camel. But yeah, very, very good confirmed sighting of deer in the Pilliga.
Well, I can confirm sighting a deer. I took a group there.
Yeah, but we didn't believe you because that photo looked really, really dodgy.
Oh, poor Arthur, who listens. Arthur, Mark thinks your photography is dodgy.
No, I didn't say that. I said the photo was dodgy.
Probably on a 19 or an early 2000s Nokia button phone with the first integrated camera on it. No, I trust these guys. Absolutely.
It looked like that Bigfoot photo, the one, the famous one. If you think about that and a deer, that's what it reminded me.
The poor fellas. Oh well.
Well, they just think about it this way. They were ahead of their time.
They were.
There you go.
They were. It was back when the seasons for deer were still around, and we were there 1 week after deer season closed, so they did not shoot it. Being it was their first trip out with our club, and they didn't want to be the bad people. Very responsible.
And now there's no season.
No, there's no season. They should have just pollexed it. Anywho, the fact that they left it there, maybe they left the breeding buck that has now populated the Pilliga with deer, which is
maybe. I was talking to the editor way back in 2018, and he was of the opinion that the only thing that stopped them having deer in there previously or before 2018 was the drought. He said if they didn't have that drought, and and 2018 was close to the end of that 10-year drought.
We've had some cracker years since then.
That was it. So. They said it was a drought.
Few more to come yet. A few more cracker years to come yet.
That's right. We've got they're saying we're going to be of our fourth year in a row.
Next year's going to be wet. Yeah.
And even if the following years are just average, the amount of groundwater and the amount of
growth and
creeks and stuff that they could follow into the Pilliga. And when I was hunting one of the forests in the Pilliga, but it wasn't Pilliga East. It was, I can't think of the name. It starts with G now. There's a part where you're going through that and you're going, oh, look, I'm in deer country. You thought, this is where deer live. It's just like that.
Yeah.
We'll have to explore it a bit more, I think.
Yeah. Well, to be fishing for me, I don't think I'm going to head out there for summer. I might try and jag a trip into Severn or something like that just to get away for a couple of days if I can get a spot, or I might even head into Nundle for a long weekend. I've enjoyed hunting Nundle in summer. It's been quite productive. Yeah, explore a bit of new stuff, but I mean it gets crunchy dry, of course, but it's always produced, so it's worth another look. But other than that, it's going to be fishing.
Keep that in mind. That sounds.
It's in mind. I'm a little bit more focused on this juvenile marlin season that we're starting to talk about. Late November, up here in Queensland, juvenile marlin. It sounds like a lot of fun, so we're going to give that a crack and make some biltong out of it.
Marlin biltong. That's it.
Yeah, that's the plan.
And sashimi and steaks.
But that's all.
Mm.
That's a wrap for deer hunting for me, anyway, or mammal hunting.
Ooh.
So how many species did you shoot this year?
Goat, pig, buffalo, deer, 2 types of deer. The neighbour's cat,
Meow.
and an Ayrshire cow, some sheep, a few mice, cockroach or 2 with the salt gun.
Oh,
You've got a bugger salt.
A bugger
Salt
salt,
gun.
whatever it is.
I've got a spot bugger salt. They're good, aren't they?
They're too much fun.
I've got one for my birthday.
Yeah, a few things, but huntable species, the standards. A couple of species of deer. I mean, this year, I'm saying that, not that I celebrate the size of the trophy, but the red deer that I shot with Lawson for the taxidermy demo was my first red deer stag in Australia. Because I just generally don't chase them. So that was cool. That was a fun hunt. I really enjoyed that. A good day trip in with Lawson. Looking forward to doing it again. I'm actually booked to go with Lawson next year in the red deer raw. So that'll be the first red deer raw that I actually hunt.
Wow, I'm jealous. I love the red deer raw. It's favorite time of the year for me.
I'm booked. I've paid.
Nice.
Ready to go.
Awesome.
Very good.
Yep.
Very good.
Well, I like to say that I get a trifecta if that's a good year. So, deer, goat, and pig. Though this year it's a quinella. We've got the buffalo on there as well.
It's a good year.
But I didn't get. Well, I can't think of what the fifth would be. We didn't get because I didn't get El Pepe escaped again. That damn donkey.
El Pepe. Well, I think I've got
donkeys.
six species. I think I got 2 species of deer in that, but I got pig, goat,
2
I
deer.
got a fallow deer, red
Buffalo.
deer, buffalo, and a fox. 6.
Oh, fox. Yeah, I had fox.
Yeah. So 6 for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had a bumper year on the pigs.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, you did
I think I shot more pigs this year than any other year because we just don't target them. But that was good
There's
fun.
nothing else to target at Maribor.
That was good fun. That was a good laugh.
It was good
It
fun.
was a whole lot of fun.
Yeah. So we'll get into planning. We'll have we'll soon be thinking about Hunt Camp 2025. And
we've got the Slam 2025.
The Slam 2025 and 1 or 2 other things I imagine that we might get some people invited to.
I believe, well, I don't believe, I know, the compass looks like for the big trip is going to point north rather than south.
But it depends which big trip you're talking about. Hunt Camp will still likely happen.
September, sorry.
Yeah. Hunt Camp's going to probably still happen like it did this year. We were planning on doing Samba, but the north is too much of a draw card.
That's right.
Yeah.
For now.
And we have to do the return for Pepe.
Yeah, might have to take our good friends at Hellenic Hunters up on their offer and head down to Sydney and shoot south of Sydney and go and chase Samba there.
I think that's a good idea.
Might be the option.
Because I think the mate on the podcast, Haroon, he was down there recently.
Yeah, Haroon ran a really big camp out of there.
Yeah.
They had a big camp.
They did pretty well as well.
They did pretty well. They got the DPI in camp. So it looks like those guys had a fantastic trip. I was looking at some of the photos. Big numbers, lots of people. Looks like they had a great time.
Yeah. Very good. Stay tuned for details. I'll let you know when they come out. But that'll do for now.
Cool. See you guys. Have a good
See you
evening.
next week.
No worries. Catch you later.